I've been doing a sort of research project where I made up a Gmail account called "Do I Have a BS Job or What?" at gmail.com. And I've been advertising on Twitter. I've got like about 250 testimonies now, and I have broken them down into five basic types. There are flunky jobs, which are basically people who just are there to make someone else look good. Um, a lot of people sitting around offices say they basically don't do anything except like, pass emails to someone and say, no, that's spam, or, they're just like there because if you don't have someone sitting in your desk, you're not actually a real executive. Similar receptionists at publishing companies where nobody ever calls, they have to be there anyway. Okay, so there's millions of flunky jobs like that. Then you have what I call goons. Goons are people who are basically there to you don't need them unless somebody else has them. Sort of like armies, right? If nobody had an army, no one would need an army. Same is true of corporate lawyers, telemarketers, all kind of people like that. So they often say, this is total bullshit. There's no need for this. Um, okay, that's easy. The next one is, I call them duct tapers. Duct tapers are people who are there to fix a problem that does not need to exist and everybody knows it. It would be sort of like if you have a roof in the house, instead of getting a roofer, put a bucket down and hire someone to like empty the water every half hour. A lot of corporations do that. They'll hire someone just to deal with the damage of the fact that something is badly organized because it's easier than like fixing the problem. So there's millions of those kind of people. Then there's box tickers. Box tickers are people who are there to allow an organization to say they're doing something that they're not doing. There's a lot of that in government, but corporations increasingly do that too. So one person said, I work at a care home. My job is to like do interviews and collect data on what sort of entertainment people would like to have, which I then tabulate and file. And the problem with box tickers, of course, is that it takes up so much time that you could be spending actually doing the thing. He says, like, I could be entertaining these people, but actually I have to spend 7/10 of my time finding out what they would like to be doing for entertaining and then losing it because nobody cares. All right, so that's a box ticker. And then finally, taskmasters, who are basically basically middle management. They're people who are there either to supervise people who don't need supervising, which is most of middle management's, like, people write to me all the time. They say, like, I'm supposed to be making them work, though. They'd work all by themselves. I have to pretend I'm doing something, so I make up these numbers and they do box ticking exercises or something. And then also make up new bullshit jobs. There's a lot of people who do that.
A job which is to make up new jobs.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who's basically there to figure out. There are some people that are there to eliminate bullshit jobs, but realize their own jobs are bullshit because they're not actually going to do it. They're just box tickers to make them. So there's one guy who said he worked for a bank where his job is to come up with basically more efficient ways to do things. But in his 15 years, he says he's never seen one of his programs actually adopted because they always figure out it would mean firing someone who's one of their flunkies. And everybody's like, but no, I mean, because like managers and executives are judged basically by how many people they have working under them. We have a really, really twisted idea of the value of work. There was a time that people thought that work produces something. It is there, everything all value comes from labor. The labor theory of value is almost universally accepted in the 19th century. But they had a very silly focus on factory work, craftsmen, like, production. Most work isn't production, right? Most work is caregiving. Most work is maintaining things. As I always say, you make a cup once, right? You wash it like 1,000 times. So most work is keeping things the same. It's not recreating things. And they lost that. So it became easy to change the discourse and say, no, production is really created by job creators and wealth producers who are businessmen who come up with the ideas, and you're just a robot doing what you're told. So then the question is, well, how do you make people validate work at all? And so you tell them, well, it's morally good. If you're a parasite, that's bad, right? You need to be working harder than you want to be at something you don't really like very much, or else you're a bad person, and they have people resenting each other. And so now, increasingly, if work is about self-abnegation, self-sacrifice, and puritanical moral discourse, well, the more you get out of the work personally, the less valuable it is, right? And people actually think like that. They say, well, you're actually making cars, you're teaching children, you want benefits too? I mean, that's, there's this idea if you're getting something out of the work, they probably shouldn't pay you at all, but they certainly shouldn't pay you as much. So in a weird paradoxical way, even the knowledge that you're producing something has come to be seen on some unconscious and sometimes conscious level as subtracting from the value of the job rather than adding to it.
So production itself, that is kind of worshipped. When I say
productivity.
Production, I'm talking about industrial production. So that's worship. And so there's this kind of guilt about not being involved in industrial production.
Right. So, but also resentment of people who get to do something that with their hands that actually makes a difference. Because people will say that. They'll say like, look at these auto workers, they're being paid $25 an hour and they're getting all these benefits and vacations. And it's like, well, why not? They don't seem to like object if some guy sitting in an office doing nothing gets much more money than that. Well, it's because there's this idea, well, they get to make cars. I get to sit here and do nothing, pretend to work all day, and it's miserable. Like they want like benefits like I get too. And that's real. People really think like that. Actually, a right-wing activist confirmed this on one of the blogs when I was saying that they cultivate a resentment against people with real work. That he said, yeah, that's true, because when we started these campaigns against teachers, we started actually talking about school administrators, because they're the ones who really create the problems, and everybody knows it. They don't do anything. And it had no purchase. People wouldn't get excited about them. Then we started talking about teachers, it took off.
Complaining about, you mean?
Yeah, campaigning against them.